While cops are trained in handling criminals, wild animals are a whole other story because they can be more dangerous and unpredictable than humans. So, what happens when police officers encounter these deadly creatures? Here are the times cops encountered wild animals. A terrifying, aggressive bobcat is up against officers, so who wins? But we'll look at this case first. On January 20th, 2020, officers received a call reporting a deer stuck inside a swimming pool in a rural part of Fayette County. When the officers arrived at the property, they were met with a distressing sight. A deer, exhausted and trapped in a swimming pool in the chilly weather. The deer isn't moving, having given up after a fierce struggle to get out. The officer cautiously approaches the deer, trying to assess its condition. It's clear the deer is completely spent, lying there with no energy left to even attempt to help itself. The officer carefully uses his strength to lift the deer, being mindful not to hurt it. The deer's state evokes sympathy as it lies helplessly, awaiting its fate.
Come on.
While it's worrisome to see the deer in this state, we must appreciate the gentleness of the officer and the way he deals with the situation. The calmness of the officer prevents the deer from freaking out as if he knows he is well cared for. But if a single officer is enough to rescue the deer, we shall find out.
Slick.
Another officer steps in to assist. With great care, he grabs the deer's leg and together they gently pull it up. Once the deer is out of the pool, it suddenly finds the energy to sprint towards the bushes. Relieved to be free, it doesn't look back, eager to return to safety. Surely there's a hope that the deer will avoid other deep water bodies in the future. Back to the terrifying bobcat. On a seemingly routine day, officers receive an unusual and urgent call. A bobcat is trapped beneath a car. Known for their fierce and wild nature, bobcats are formidable animals, and the officers are acutely aware of the risk. As they approach, the tension mounts. Each step toward the car is measured, knowing the potential danger that lurks beneath. The stakes are incredibly high, with the officers showing immense courage in the face of a situation that could turn deadly in an instant.
Get around it now.
I don't know, on a girl wants like this one, huh? 30 pound, 20 pound.
With painstaking care, the officers finally managed to extract the bobcat from the car's undercarriage. The animal, in a state of shock, leaps toward the officers in a defensive and frightened response. Despite the potential for harm from the very ferocious species, the officers maintain their composure, handling the situation with remarkable calm and restraint. Rest assured that the officers will take great care of the bobcat and release it where it can neither harm nor be harmed. A deadly alligator in a human-inhabited neighborhood? This sounds like trouble. But first, let's look at this case. Spotting a deer is often considered a delightful experience, as these graceful and serene animals symbolize the beauty of the natural world. However, that was not the case on August 22, 2022 in Ohio, where a man spotted a deer on the side of the road, but the pleasantness quickly turned to concern when the deer exhibited some unusual behavior. The officer exits the vehicle, visibly puzzled by the sight of a deer standing eerily still by the side of the road. The officer understands that something is unusually wrong with this deer, and things get clearer as he approaches his partner.
Yeah.
He said it's called EHD.
It's got pretty bad road rash on the other side.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. That's what I was telling him on the way down here.
The EHD?
Yeah, the zombie deer there.
That's what he was.
Yeah. You probably didn't believe me.
The other officer mentions that the man on the side of the road reported the deer suffering from a medical condition called EHD, or epizootic hemorrhage disease. EHD causes a variety of symptoms in deer, including losing their fear of humans, earning them the nickname zombie deer.
Well, you said zombie, dude. I was like, well.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Stay still, you can't see it. I laid on my horn and everything, and it wouldn't budge. I was like, oh, I know if it's like, it's like green or white.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he's got injuries, he's not going to be able to make it up.
Yeah. Come on, get. Yeah.
But if you look at her body, you can tell.
Lots of road rash.
Yeah. Well, it's that EHD. I'm surprised you don't see more of them all around her face right now.
The officer also mentions that the poor animal had a lot of road rash, which could indicate that it had been in an accident. Unfortunately, this meant only one thing. Given the deer's condition, the officers make the difficult decision to euthanize it. While this protocol might seem harsh, it is essential to ensure these animals do not pose a danger to people. Deer that lose their fear of humans can end up in hazardous situations, like running in front of cars.
Lights are on, nobody's home.
That's a fact. Gentlemen, take care. All right, thank you. Thank you. It's my smoke.
Yeah.
Well,
Got one right here.
Despite the somber task, the officers strive to maintain a light mood, recognizing the importance of their duty in protecting the community. Florida is no stranger to wild encounters with criminals, and wild animals are no exception. This was especially true on March 29, 2023, when a 9-foot alligator was spotted casually taking a stroll through the neighborhood interaction. But that wasn't even the mind-boggling part. It was how the police handled it that left everyone present in shock. The video starts with a jaw-dropping scene, an alligator on the road surrounded by several police units. The officer on the scene seems remarkably relaxed, as if having an alligator on the road at 1 a.m. is just another day. He even nudges it a few times, trying to get it to move. But just when you think it can't get any stranger, it does. Without giving it a second thought, the officer grabs the alligator's massive tail, but then decides against it. Dragging a 9-foot beast by its tail was less than ideal, so he let go. However, he continues to poke it with his stick carefully. Just then, they initiate phase 2 of their plan.
Let me see that rope. Yeah, pull him out a little bit. You ready? He's behind you.
The officer asks for a rope and proceeds to put it in the alligator's mouth. Once secured, the officers attempt to pull the alligator out a little bit while the others strategize on how to tackle the giant reptile.
You ready? Yeah, how far up? I'm gonna go to the head, and you just sit on his body.
And then the officer does the most unexpected thing. In a split-second decision, the officer jumps on top of the alligator's head, pinning it to the ground as if subduing a human.
Good job, Luke. I'm proud of you.
Just keep the weight on him. Give me one more. One more for weight.
I got duct tape.
And a towel to cover his eyes up.
Got a towel. Hey guys, back off the street. Guys, back off the street.
Mike, do you want the rope tight?
You're fine the way you got it. I just need tape.
It's gonna be all right.
Not only does he hold the gator's massive mouth shut with his bare hands, but he also manages to tie the rope around it while another officer quickly duct tapes the alligator's mouth. Although what happens next is downright comedic.
Like where my left hand's at. I got his mouth. Just go underneath the rope. Like right here is where you want to get. It's hot. Alright. Yeah, like behind his back. Like you're handcuffing.
The officer asks if someone can bind the alligator's hands and legs together, essentially arresting the gator. Very carefully, another officer binds the alligator's arms using duct tape. Safe to say, the alligator was less than thrilled. The officers then try to make the alligator as comfortable and, with some difficulty, finally remove the rope.
It's not the end of the world. You cut the end off. There is more rope.
Yeah, that's not coming out right now.
The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, FWC, and Nuisance Alligator Program assisted later on. Back to the case of the alligator in a neighborhood. On May 23, 2024, officers were called to a neighborhood after reports of an alligator were received roaming around. If they're lucky, the creature will be in one of its calmer moods. When the officer arrives on the scene, the alligator is already restrained and under control. To further ensure the safety of both the gator and the officers, they bind the animal's jaws with tape. The alligator, displaying calmness, briefly shows its strength but does not become aggressive. The ride with the alligator is unexpectedly peaceful. The officers, maintaining their vigilant but gentle approach, ensure the journey is as stress-free as possible for the animal. Upon reaching the alligator's natural watery habitat, the officers prepare to release her with great care. When Wisconsin police are called to take care of a wild turkey stuck in a property, they have no idea what to expect.
And the net, though, is what I'm saying. Because when I go in there, I want to be able to, like, get it.
It's a turkey, not a tiger.
Yeah, it's gonna scratch, dude. Have you hunted turkey before?
His warning is met with some skepticism, though it would be wise for them to heed his advice, as the following moments will clearly demonstrate.
Completely out, that's why I was calm.
I don't know, dude. Turkeys can be kind of gnarly sometimes. I see it.
How big is it?
I think it's doable.
Oh yeah. It's walking around.
It's not a tom, so that's good.
The turkey, pacing anxiously back and forth, lets out strangled noises of distress.
Come on, let's go.
Alright. Yeah. Told you it's getting. Yeah, we needed 2 of these, Brady.
Get it or not?
Got in one room here.
Okay,
Just
keep
give me
it
a
in that
second.
room. We need another gnat. Because I'm useless.
Oh my god. Got him.
Hey! Well done.
Alright, now I just don't know what to do.
How far down?
I mean, we're on the second floor. It's probably not mega suitable to just.
I got him. Hold on.
We're not
Brady, hold on to this.
We do not want things don't want to release.
Alright, let's go outside.
Okay, here, look up.
With the turkey still in a state of high alert, they release her gently. The bird wastes no time, quickly scurrying into the wild, driven by the primal urge to escape confinement. In 2019, in taxis, police burst into a house, guns drawn, but the culprit was unable to put its hands up. The video opens with an officer on high alert, canvassing the house to ensure the intruder doesn't escape.
Give me your hands! Give me your hands! There's someone inside.
The officer hears movement inside and demands the intruder show their hands. While the other officers surround the house, one enters through a window, but what they discover inside is far from what they anticipated.
Police! Let me see your hands! That's a deer! It's a deer! It's a deer! It's a deer! Stand down!
A deer, frantically running around and knocking over everything in its path. The officer immediately calls his fellow officers to stand by.
Go, come on.
To ensure the safety of the animal. That is when the officers come up with a plan.
No. Get the shield in here. No, come on. There it is. It's closed. Open the door. Open the door. Oh, golly. There we go.
On October 21st, 2023, officers responded to an alarming complaint. Someone was illegally keeping an alligator as a pet in a shipping container. The tension is palpable as they brace themselves for the rescue, knowing that what lies behind the steel doors could be both dangerous and heartbreaking. A blindfolded alligator, visibly terrified, lies helpless in the dark, cramped space. The creature's nervous and anxious movements highlight the severe neglect and fear it has endured. The officers, driven by a deep sense of duty and compassion, know that this animal deserves the best treatment after what it has been through.
I'm stuck.
Carefully place her in the makeshift carrier and shift her to the transport vehicle to act good on their promise and return her to her habitat. Our next story takes us to Florida, where an incident in 2023 highlighted the shocking negligence of Florida's Wildlife Authority. They arrived at a reptile facility to destroy 34 pythons owned by Chris Coffey, who possessed a large collection before the FWC implemented the Prohibited Species regulation in 2021. That is when the 4 officers raided the facility, but what happened next was far from what anyone could have imagined.
Stretch them out where it's in front. And watch your pee, you know what we do. There's that. Quick.
FWC officers Lex Cordeguera, Jonathan Wright, Zach Beppel, and Christopher Ryan arrived at the facility prepared for action, planning on using a penetrating captive bolt device to remove the snakes. Chris, the owner, can be heard telling the officers how he raised every single one of those snakes. Instead of confiscating the snakes, the officers decide to use a nail gun to euthanize them. However, pythons weren't the only snakes they targeted.
Hold on, Jonathan. Let me go. I'm
Leave
gonna
him right up.
The officers turn their attention to another compartment, where Chris kept his pet boa. Allegedly, Chris had even asked the officers to be careful of his pet snake, which was pregnant. The officers reach in and grab the snake, and you can see that the snake is a boa, which is significantly different from a python. And considering that these people are professionals, it is safe to assume that they knew the difference. The body language of the officer clearly shows how he did a double take and realized that they had just killed the pet boa. Another officer notices the tag on the compartment and gasps, realizing the gravity of the situation. What followed was almost comical. The officer in blue, realizing the blunder, pretended surprise and acted as if he was unaware of the situation. The third officer, still oblivious, is informed by the officer in blue, who exaggerates his surprise. With Chris in a nearby room, the officers chose to finish euthanizing the remaining pythons rather than immediately informing him of the mistake. But the impending doom was inevitable. Eventually, the officers broke the heartbreaking news to Chris Coffey. His beloved boa was dead. Instead of taking responsibility, the officers brush it off as a mistake and promise to fix it. But Chris, who had raised the boa for over 10 years, wasn't buying any of it. The incident created a lot of discussion and debate regarding the handling of toxic pets, and also highlighted the need for clearer guidelines and better communication.